Hey everybody, Professor Doom here. So we have a lot to unpack in this video. It's going to be pretty wild, I am thinking, because we're going to be talking about Atlantis. We're going to be talking about the 10 regions that I just put up a video about here recently, about the commemorative coin that shows the 10 regions. We're going to be talking about all of the activities going on around the world, from wars and what this is all leading up to. And then the question comes up is everything scripted? Everything. Is it scripted for the benefit of humanity? Well, let's take a look at everything and we'll see. But first, how does all of this that we're going to talk about tie in with Atlantis? Well, just remember that we talked about the 10 regions. So, this is the video that I put up 5 months ago about the true location of Atlantis. And if you will look here, this is the serpent that is in one of the apocalyptic murals at the Johns Hopkins University. As I've already pointed out, corporations the world over secretly venerate the god Saturn, whether it be Walmart, whether it be Target, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Lockheed Martin. We can name them all, and they have the symbol somewhere in their logo that they use. Okay. Here, as you can see, the serpent in the apocalyptic murals at Johns Hopkins University, you can see the two planets of Saturn. And if you look over down below the two triangle or the two upside down diamonds or whatever they are, you can see the symbol for the planet or god Saturn right there. And if you look where the two planets of Saturn are, and the right below that is the symbol for Saturn, and then up above that is a blank symbol, a blank diamond look. Does everybody recognize that star symbol right there? You know, it's been on a lot of secret society cloaks, such as, think about, you remember Antonin Scalia, when he was killed at that the retreat, and there was that secret society group that was that's there. The guy who owns it is all part of a secret society, right? How about the Order of the Garter? How about all of some of the Iron Cross of the Nazis? All that, as you can see, they're trying to tell you that the Tau Cross is indeed associated with, whoops, did I just start it up? I don't know. It is associated with the god Saturn. And you know what's really interesting? If you take a look at the helmet for the Tennessee Titans, and you see a variation of the Tau Cross, and they are called Titans. Of course, that is a veneration to the Titan god Saturn Cronus. Very interesting indeed, isn't it? So what does this have to do with what we're going to be talking about, the 10 regions? Okay, so in this video here, I wouldn't necessarily call it hypothesized, but I showed ample evidence in my claims that the true location of Atlantis is not the Sahara Desert, like some of the people are claiming as of late, but is actually in North America. And a part of that, I used just a little small tidbit of evidence, was the serpent mound that is in the state of Ohio. There's a lot of intrigue about the serpent mound. Why was it built? Who built it? For what purpose? And if we tie it in with this serpent, would Atlantis have some kind of veneration for the serpent god, Enki or Saturn, Cronus? And that's what the Serpent Mound is all about. Well, let's take a look at something very interesting about what we know about the lost continent of Atlantis. In advance that I had not seen this piece of evidence to bolster my claims about North America being the true location of Atlantis until now. So let's take a look at this here about the Sanson's map. And this is the University of Oxford. And there's this map that dates back to 1669. Researching this map has revealed a wealth of theories, some more credible than others. And it was created by Nicholas Sanson, 1600 to 1667. And the first reference to Atlantis comes from Plato. They're talking about that. And right here, this particular map is curious for two reasons. One, it represents the Americas as the lost kingdom of Atlantis. And two, it represents California as an island. Okay. So it goes on to the story here, and it actually shows you the map. Okay. And you go through here, right here. And what was interesting is, as you can see, Atlantean or whatever, right here across the map, was the Aztec Indians have a legend about they came from the north, from the land of Aztlan. And isn't that sound very close to Atlantis? Well, anyway, that's all covered in my video that I did about Atlantis. So what is the interesting thing about this whole Atlantis thing? Okay. When explorers unexpectedly found themselves on a large landmass in the middle of the Atlantic, it raised speculation that this might be Plato's lost island. This is why the map is titled Atlantis Insula, or Insula, the island of Atlantis. It shows the Americas divided up into 10 kingdoms, which in mythology made up the lost island of Atlantis. Plato wrote that these 10 rulers were the sons of Poseidon. Okay, 10, huh? Isn't that very interesting? And that's going to lead me into the whole 10 regions that we talked about in a video that I just put up a few days ago. And we're going to be taking a look at why everything is going on around the world right now, from wars and rumors of wars and certain countries making moves against other countries. Well, let's take a look. And you know what? Before we do that, let us listen to some lyrics by a particular group about Atlantis that you guys are going to find very, very interesting. Here we go. Okay.
The true definition of Freemasonry is an advance toward the light. The question then becomes, what is the light of Masonry? Lucifer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Is it he who bears the light? Doubt it not. When the Mason learns the mystery of his craft, the seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands.
They knew the world wasn't flat, but that was knowledge we weren't supposed to have. They knew all about the new world, way before Christopher Columbus set sail. Witness the rebirth of Atlantis, and we're all part
You know, I'm not surprised the Illuminati had to keep it a secret. I'm surrounded by fucking idiots. Jesus fucking Christ.
World regions. And the 10 world regions are enumerated right here on the coin from 1 to 10. Here is the Millennium Development Goals Report from 2009. And this is their vision for the future of the world. They want to break it, or they want to unify it in 10 regions. Okay? So understand what I'm saying about unify. So, of course, the United States is the United States. Of course, South America is South America. And what you'll notice is that Asia, you have Russia up above, you have Asia, and then you have a separate India. But actually, India looks a little smaller here compared to their vision. And if you will notice, Europe, or I should say Eastern Europe, seems to fit in their vision as Russia's the umbrella of Russia. Does anybody understand what I'm saying here? So what I'm saying is that for them to realize their vision, then Russia was going to have to invade Ukraine. And they're also going to have to take back over or take the Eastern Bloc or Poland, Estonia, all of these other countries that are going to fit into their vision for the new world order. Okay? I want to show you the coin that I showed in the video, okay? As you can see, if we look over to the right and you see the number 9, but what is that, Australia? Is that what it is right there? And then, of course, you have 10 for Africa. And then that very top part of Africa where the number 1 is, right there. And then you have 5, which appears to be India area, or maybe perhaps that is the Middle East. Not quite sure. But what I want you to focus your attention on is the number 4, which is right there at the top. And if you will notice, their vision for these 10 regions has Russia in possession all the way past Ukraine, taking control of all of Eastern Europe. But do you see the number 8 right there, which is China? And you see them being in possession of Taiwan, Southeast Asia, and also part of India. Okay, part of India. So the thing is when you see Russia making a move towards Taiwan, and when you see Russia invading Ukraine, when you see the potential war drums in Africa being beat right now, is it all scripted, or is it all for the purpose of realizing the vision of the United Nations to create these 10 regions? Well, here's something very interesting for you to take a look at. What China just came out with a new map. Let's take a look at China's new map. This just came out a few days ago, okay, about 4 days ago. A new map of China's national borders has sparked protest from governments in Asia after its boundaries drew into the territories of its neighbors, including a small chunk of Russia. The map published on Monday by China's Ministry of Natural Resources lays claim to disputed land on its southern border with India and encompasses all of Taiwan. Off its southern coast, Beijing's so-called dash line captures huge tracts of the South China Sea, where islands, reefs, and maritime zones are contested by a half a dozen countries. Beijing's long-standing territory claims on its periphery aren't new. Under Chinese leader, however, China has employed its growing hard power to consolidate its ambitions. In recent years, its neighbors have also faced the ramped-up presence of the Chinese Coast Guard. Anyway, I will leave you guys links in the description box so you guys can check out everything that they talk about here. The Kremlin has yet to comment on the map. Xi and Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India met days earlier, seemingly cordially, at the recent BRICS. The Indian government, at least one lawmaker, were the first to respond to what they considered a cartological land grab of India's northern state of Pradesh, whatever. Let's take a look at their map, shall we? Right here. Okay. And look at the possessions right there. And look at the part of India right there. Do you see it? Right here? Okay. Boom. Let's take a look at that coin once again. All right. Let's see it here. I can bring it back up. Look at that. Look there. The number 8 and how it's going to be taking a substantial piece of India according to the vision that they want to be realized for this 10 regions. Isn't it very interesting that the 10 kingdoms of Atlantis, they had 10 kingdoms? What's the fascination with the number 10? Does this have to do anything with the rebirth of Atlantis and the fact that I've been saying that whoever this Enki, Saturn, Cronus is going to be returning? And does this have to do with anything with this rebirth of Atlantis? Is his return have anything to do with the structure of the world and the vision they have for that structure? And look, China is making moves right now with this map that appears that they are trying to realize that vision now. And also the activities going on in Africa, where all of a sudden there are countries over there that are unifying with each other. And is it all scripted? Is this all scripted? Russia going into Ukraine. The whole fact that Poland has got a lot of troops over on the Belarus. Everything is going absolutely nuts. But it looks like they have a mission to accomplish. And their mission is to realize the whole vision of the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, to bring about the 10 regions. You know what's something else that's interesting that we listened about that ex-military guy, Dan Page. But we already knew this. We don't have to really listen to him when it comes to this. But did you notice also that FEMA broke down the United States into 10 regions? You guys know this, right? You have FEMA region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 regions. Isn't that very interesting? If I am indeed right, and things are speeding along very quickly with this new map of China, and that means that they're going to be making a move on Taiwan soon. If everything turns out the way that we're seeing in Africa, We are watching it unfold in Ukraine, Russia. And isn't it interesting that we're talking about 10 regions? And with those 10 regions, that's a kingdom. And what do we know about the 10 kingdoms of the book of Revelations? Well, think about this for a moment. The last Pope prophecy that I spoke about before was about Father Malachi, who made a prediction, I get if that's how you want to say that, about all of the popes. And for some reason, the Catholic Church intentionally followed along with his naming or his predictions of the Pope's names, and they followed it. Well, what's interesting about the last Pope prophecy is that the last Pope is supposed to be a Jesuit Pope. Well, we've only had one Jesuit Pope, and we have him right now. And that's supposed to be the last Pope. So think about everything that we're seeing going on around the world right now. Think about the last Pope prophecy, and the last Pope is supposed to be a Jesuit Pope, which Pope Francis is. And then ask yourself about the 10 kingdoms and the return of the Antichrist, or the arrival of the Antichrist. And the 10 world leaders arise during the final Gentile kingdom. Well, isn't that very interesting that if you take a look at Deagle.com and talking about the absolute decimation of the United States, 360 million people are going to be reduced down to a little over 50 million people. What can cause this type of destruction? Only very few things that I can think of, and it's not going to be a virus. We have too much travel, intercontinental travel to other countries, so it's not a virus that we accidentally take into another country. That's not it. Because none of the other countries, outside, of course, our allies, because we go to a lot of different countries, but none of those countries that we do go to appear to have any kind of depopulation attached with their Deagle projection. So one thing that I was thinking that this could be, because it doesn't appear to be really a war, could it be Yellowstone super volcano? Is that a possibility? And the possibility does indeed exist. What about all of these things that we're seeing with direct energy weapons? Could you use something like that to spark off a volcano if you so chose? I don't know. That I'll leave that for speculatory. I'll just leave that as speculation for the moment. But what is interesting is that we're talking about 10 regions. We're talking about the Atlantean 10 kingdoms. And then when you look at the book of Revelations, and you're going to see there's going to be 10 world leaders of these 10 kingdoms. And that's going to be before the Antichrist appears. So if their vision for the 10 regions or the 10 kingdoms are realized, then there's going to be the final Gentile kingdom. And then there's going to be the Antichrist who is going to appear. And he will subdue 3 of these kings after he gains power. What 3 kings could an Antichrist possibly subdue? Well, I can only speculate. I don't have the answers to that, but that is a very intriguing question. Well, hopefully you guys were able to follow along on what I've been presenting here. The book of Revelation says the Antichrist, the beast, gains his power at the midpoint of tribulation after dying and being resurrected by Satan. He gains his power at the midpoint of tribulation. I don't know about you all, folks, but considering the state of the world right now, I don't know how much worse it could possibly get. Is this all part of a tribulation? I don't know. Is it going to get worse as they realize their vision for the 10 kingdoms or the 10 regions? I do believe it is. And then we're going to be seeing, you know what? I wish, God, this is so much to unpack here, so much to think about. The 10 horns, which you saw, are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but they receive authority as kings with the beast for 1 hour. These have one purpose, and they give their power and authority to the beast. So the rise of the 10 kings precedes the arrival of the Antichrist at the start of tribulation. Well, their vision for the 10 kingdoms or the 10 regions has to be realized for there to be 10 kings to be appointed over these 10 regions. And that looks like that we are fastly reaching that appointed time for that to happen. If you look at all of the actions of countries against other countries going on around the world right now. Thanks, everybody.